Howdy folks, and welcome to another episode of Mingles with Jingles, a proper one this time. Don't worry, it is supposed to be a black screen. That's because I wanted to start off with showing you something that I was invited to take a look at by my manager and my YouTube partner network. I've got a game you might be interested in, she said. This is it. Now, since I don't cover War Thunder anymore, and because World of Warplanes is bad, I was actually very interested in this. I mean, it looks like World of Warplanes, which is quite tragic really when you consider that World of Warplanes struggles to run on a modern high-spec PC, and this, it's called War Wings, this runs on mobile phones. Mobile phones or tablets, your Kindle Fire, your Apple iPad, or your regular common or garden mobile phone. And I have to admit, I was really into having a go at this. Until I got to the Google Play Store for Android, trying to download and install it, and it turns out that this game is not available for mobile devices in my country. Now I can get around that by just going straight to the APK file, which is the Android application package. It's the installer basically, and bypassing the Google Play Store, but then I had the problem of how do I get mobile phone PvP game footage from my mobile phone onto my PC in order to upload to a video to YouTube. Now I'm sure there's probably software in the Google Play Store designed to do exactly that. You can do it all from your tablet or your mobile, but the deadline for getting a video up onto YouTube was so short that I just really didn't have time to figure it all out. And so it's a bit of a bummer for me because they were willing to pay me quite a substantial amount of money to do a video promoting their game, but I just didn't really have the time to do it in the time frame allowed, so I'm plugging it for free here in Mingles with Jingles because it really does look like a pretty good game, and providing you can get it working on your mobile device in your country, it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. You know, it occurs to me, I've never done a paid promotional video before. I've certainly had offers. This is not the first time somebody said, would you like to do a video promoting this game that we're developing? We're prepared to pay you some money to do it. Obviously it's a thing. Other YouTubers do it. Nothing wrong with that, as long as you know they're upfront about it and they say, by the way, this is a paid sponsorship. And I certainly don't object to the idea in principle, providing you still give an honest opinion and you're upfront and you tell everybody right at the start of the video, I've been paid to plug this game. This would have been the first time I'd done one. And I wouldn't have minded doing it because, well, the game looks good. I don't know if it is any good because I haven't actually been able to play it yet. If any of you guys have a go, let me know what it's like, because it does look like fun. You see, the thing is, I don't really play mobile phone games at all. And that's not because there aren't any good mobile games out there certainly are, but, well, the only times I'm ever on the tablets are when I'm travelling, which doesn't happen very often, or when I'm curled up in bed at night. Before I go to sleep, I like to watch a TV show or a movie or something. And when I'm travelling, I tend to catch up on the books that I need to read. Various different tank books and warship books that I still haven't read. Right now, I'm actually reading a whole bunch of books on the Vietnam War from the perspective of helicopter pilots. Which, actually, I'm probably going to talk about this episode of Mingles with Jingles, but we're getting slightly off topic here. I suppose I could go ahead and install something like War Wings onto the tablet and have a good play of it at night before I go to sleep, curled up in bed on the Kindle Fire. But that would probably drive Rita nuts. So, yeah. Oh well, never mind. Bit of a missed opportunity there, really. I could have earned some well-needed cash and recommended a decent game to you, but, well, what can I say? I'm plugging it for free. Check it out. Or not. Your choice. Speaking of missed opportunities, I was supposed to be at the French Tank Museum this week at Saumur, having a play around with the Tiger II, the opportunity of a lifetime. I was going to be there. It wasn't really a community event, unlike the community event that Wargaming are hosting at the Swedish Tank Museum at Arsenalen, which I'm almost certainly mispronouncing again, happening at the end of the month. This was more a sort of filming opportunity. Wargaming had managed to convince the staff at the French Tank Museum to make the Tiger II and the Panther available to them on separate days, and the day that I was going along, it was the Tiger II, and we were going to be allowed inside the Tiger II. Opportunity of a lifetime, filming the inside of a Tiger II and talking to various different technical experts about the tank. I was so excited. What Wargaming were going to be doing there was filming a 360 VR tank experience for both the Tiger II and the Panther. And since they had access with cameras, they said, "You want to come along and film it as well for the community?" I thought, yes, please. Where do I sign? Shut up and take my money. Except it wasn't going to cost me anything. Wargaming had booked a hotel for me, and they said, just sort out your travel arrangements and we'll cover your expenses. As long as it's not too expensive, don't go booking first class travel or anything. Okay, fair enough. So I booked a flight from Southampton Airport to Paris, and then I booked a return train from Paris to Saumur. Came to just over £300. No problem, well within the travel budget. And then the morning of the flight, Eddie turned up to drive me to the airport, and we got about 300 metres from my front door and we hit solid traffic. It just wasn't moving. We sat there in the same place. We didn't move 10 metres in half an hour. It was ridiculous. See, the thing is, where I live is on a peninsula. Now, for those of you for whom English is not your first language, a peninsula is basically a bit of land that sticks out. It's kind of like an island that's connected to the mainland by a narrow strip of land. And on that narrow strip of land is the only road in and out, and if there's an accident on that road, nothing moves. So after half an hour we realised we were not going to make the flight, turned around, went back home. Naturally, there's no way Wargaming were going to reimburse me expenses for a flight and a train that I didn't actually take, so I'm down £300 and did not actually get to go to France and see the Tiger II. I was gutted. And I worked my ass off in the 3 days beforehand, like coming back from Comic-Con, and then the same week disappearing to France meant that I had to get Wednesday, Thursday and Friday's videos done before I went to France, so you guys had something to watch while I was away. So I'd done all that work, spent all of that money, and didn't get to go. So yeah, it's been a great week. Oh, and my Skype got hacked as well. Yeah, I almost forgot about that. What a week it has been. Yes, my Skype account got hacked. I ended up, my mobile phone went off. I got a text from Mr. Conway from Wargaming EU, who I have as a Skype contact, to let me know that my Skype account had been hacked and I was spamming everybody in my contact list with a link to a Chinese browser. Funnily enough, it's actually the browser that I have installed on my mobile phone, because I have a Chinese mobile phone. Jingles, why do you have a Chinese mobile phone? Well, we'll get to that in a moment. But yeah, anyway, my Skype account got hacked, so I had to go in, change passwords and all sorts of stuff on that. Hopefully it's fixed. I don't appear to have been spamming anybody with any email messages Skype messages since I changed the password. But yes, yeah, I have it's a bizarre coincidence. It's a mobile phone browser called Baidu. You'll only ever have heard of it if you've been spammed by somebody who got their Skype account hacked, or you happen, like me, to have a Chinese mobile phone. I've got a Lenovo something or other. The only reason I got it, I've actually talked about this before, but it's been a while, it's worth mentioning again. The only reason I got this phone, I'm a bit of a Luddite when it comes to technology, which is quite surprising considering what I do for a living, but I really don't like mobile phones. I used to have a Samsung, no, not the one that bursts into flames, an older version than that. And I got sick and tired of having to charge it up every day and not use it. Just sitting there on standby all day, and the battery would have to be charged every day, and and of course I would forget to do it, and then a week would go by and I'd think, oh yeah, I need to charge my phone. So I'd charge it up and there'd be like 5 missed calls and 6 missed messages, and great. So I had a look around for the mobile phone that has the longest battery life, and this thing can't be beat. It's big, and most of it is battery. The battery on emergency power saving lasts 4 months. So yeah, you can actually use it as a charger for other mobile devices. So yeah, that's my mobile phone. Comes with the browser that my Skype account has been spamming everybody with after it got hacked, which was a kind of a weird coincidence, but hey, there you go. And then tonight, as if all that wasn't enough, just as I'm sitting down to record this episode of Mingles with Jingles, I received an email. I actually received lots of emails, but this one in particular stood out. This one was entitled Confirmation Required on Package Registration Number blah blah blah, Code Number blah blah blah. From Unit 5, JFK International Airport, New York, USA. I thought, what the hell's this? Now, normally I would have gone, yeah, spam, and deleted it, but I have actually just ordered a Walking Dead figure, the Abraham character from Walking Dead, from Big Bad Toy Store, which is an American business. I thought, oh, maybe there's a problem. I need to investigate. Get a load of this. The email reads, "This is to inform you of a sealed consignment package that arrived and was deposited with a cargo unit of the JFK International Airport, New York, USA, with registration blah blah blah, with your name and email address as the consignee. However, we have not received any message or word from you to give proper directives and consent on delivery." Alarm bells started ringing off at this stage. Why do I have to give them my consent for them to deliver what they've been paid to deliver by somebody else? That's not how the postage system works, but I carried on reading. "Presently we are confronted with a challenge as Mr. Ian John Jackson, a black United Kingdom citizen." How do they know he's black, and why is that important? "And Mrs. Mary Ann Walter from the USA are requesting for the claim of your consignment or package. The said consignment is valued at $7.6 million. Whoa, wait a minute. How much? I don't think this is from the Big Bad Toy Store. It's probably not an Abraham Ford figure. Yet the declaration on is stated, right, that's what it actually says, that's not me mispronouncing, as a highly classified diplomatic document. This consignment has been deposited in our security vault for safekeeping by the United Nations Debt Reconciliation Commission, pending your... It's the old Nigerian prince scam again, isn't it? Well, I won't read any further. I'm sure they just need me to make a small deposit in a bank account of their of their choosing in order to verify my account details. They must think we were born yesterday, and yet there must be people out there that actually fall for this sort of thing. My initial thought was that they're basically targeting the old and vulnerable, you know, your grandmother, the kind of people that don't really know how the internet works. But then it occurred to me, well, actually, there are people out there who do know how the internet works and are probably entirely stupid enough to fall for this sort of thing. Something that was confirmed to me when I was playing World of Warcraft this week instead of going to France. I don't really want to get bogged down in the details here because I'm sure a lot of you don't play World of Warcraft, but I'm going to need to explain at least how the quest was supposed to work in order for you to just fully appreciate how incredibly stupid a lot of people can be. So I'm at the level cap on a whole bunch of characters in World of Warcraft Legion now, and once you've reached the level cap there's a whole bunch of things for you to do. Dungeons, raids, questing, PvP, battlegrounds, you name it. World quests, they're a new thing in this expansion. Every day a whole bunch of quests pops up all over the world map, and you get all sorts of cool stuff for completing these quests, and one of them in particular basically involved strapping a giant electrical capacitor to your back and then running around looking for storm dragons and getting them to breathe on you. And yes, that is just as dangerous as it sounds. In order to charge up this capacitor. Once the capacitor reaches 100% charge, the world quest is complete, your loot is deposited automatically into your bags, and off you go, looking for the next quest. Now, as with most things in online gaming, there's a sort of effort to reward ratio involved here. You want to expend the least amount of effort in order to get the maximum amount of reward, and with these world quests the reward is fixed. So you want to spend the least possible amount of time getting electrocuted by these dragons in order to get the quest completed. So the most efficient way of doing it is to just run up to one of these dragons. In the area where you do this quest there's a very limited number of these dragons. There's only about 4 of them up at any given time, and obviously you're not the only person running around trying to get these dragons to breathe their electricity breath all over you. So anyway, this is not rocket science. I very, very quickly figured out that the fastest way to get this quest done was to simply aggro one of these dragons, run up to it and hit it, or cast a spell on it, or whatever, get its attention, and then either shield yourself and mitigate the damage that it does when it's breathing all over you and charging up the capacitor, or heal the damage that it does, depending on, whatever class abilities you have on the character that you're playing. It's not rocket science, is it? It's fairly simple. Well, you'd think so. Oh my god. Now, remember, there are something like 15 people running around this small area trying to get any one of 4 dragons to breathe all over them. So you'd come across like groups of 3 or 4 people all standing in front of this dragon, all going ow, 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 as this dragon breathes all over them. But they're not killing the dragon. Because if you kill the dragon, it stops breathing over you, and then you have to go and find another dragon and get that to breathe all over you. And there's only 4 of them. So I'm standing there in front of this dragon along with 3 other characters, and we're all basically suffering as this capacitor gets charged up. And then this genius comes running along, starts wailing into the dragon, and kills it. And we're like, what did you kill it for? At first I thought, oh great, it's a griefer, because, you get that. But no, this guy had a capacitor on his back as well. He wasn't just running around killing the dragons in order to piss off as many people as possible. That does happen, but that's not what this guy was doing. He was actually trying to get the quest done as well. He had a capacitor on his back. So I thought, great. Oh well, no, there's another dragon over there, with another bunch of people standing in front of it, quite happily, or, unhappily, because it hurts, getting their capacitors charged. So I quickly ran over, stood in front of that dragon. Genius comes running over and kills that one too. And then starts complaining in chat that this quest sucks. It takes forever to complete. Yeah, because of you, you moron! So a bunch of us all start yelling at him, some less politely than others. Oi, Einstein, stop killing the dragons! To which he replies in chat, shut the fuck up, noobs. Oh no. This quest should have been over and done in 2 minutes. At the most. It took 15 minutes. Because this guy, and he wasn't alone by the way, I don't want you thinking this is an isolated incident, no. There were 3 or 4 of these idiots running around killing all the dragons, and then the rest of us had to wait for them to respawn. And that took a while, and then they killed them as well. All the while complaining in chat that this quest was taking far too long. You begin to wonder. If you can figure out how to get online and manage to get to the level cap in World of Warcraft, how can you still be so stupid that you can't figure out that you are the reason why this quest is taking forever? You start to wonder if, when these people get out of bed in the morning, I mean, do their clothes have to be labelled in the correct order for them to get dressed? Pants first, then shoes. I mean, that's because they seem to be allowed online unsupervised, and I can't figure out why. I am convinced that these are the same people who play World of Tanks, grind their way up to tier 10, unlock the IS-7, and then drive around using the 130mm gun firing nothing but high explosive, because the tooltip says it does the most damage. And then go onto the forums and complain that the IS-7 sucks because it never does the damage that it claims it does. Now you may laugh, but I've seen people do this. I mean, I've done some pretty stupid things in World of Tanks myself, I'm sure we all have. I mean, hands up everybody who's unlocked a new tank, fitted equipment to it, taken it into battle, and forgotten to load the ammunition. You can't do that anymore. But you used to be able to, and I've done that a couple of times. I did it the very first time what was it? I think it was the Tiger 2. When I unlocked the new turret, that was it. Yeah, well, it wasn't really a bug. It was working as intended, but when you unlocked a new turret, for example, in a tank, and you fitted the turret, it would unload the ammunition, even if you were using the same gun. And it would let you go into battle with no ammunition loaded. I think I've actually featured a replay from somebody who found themselves in this situation. I think they were in their E75 on the Stalingrad map. And so they basically used themselves as a meat shield for the tank destroyers on the team. They acted as a mobile bunker so that the tank destroyers could hide behind them and pop out and take shots. And I think this guy actually got a kill. He killed a Centurion 7-1 by driving it into the River Volga. on the Stalingrad map. Now, that's taking creativity to a new level, but it just goes to illustrate that sometimes you do stupid things in your online games, regardless of how clever you might think you are. But, well, you know, there's stupid and then there's stupid. I mean, anybody can do something stupid. That doesn't mean that you are stupid, you know. You can make a mistake or forget something and do something stupid as a result, like forgetting to load the ammunition into your tank when you take it into battle for the first time. It doesn't mean you are stupid, but you have done something stupid, and it's always amusing. But, well, I'm talking about a different kind of stupid here. I mean, I'm talking about the kind of stupid here that tries to figure out whether or not the oven is on by touching the hot plate, you know. These people are allowed online without adult supervision. Shocking. Anyway, I'll tell you what else I've been playing lately. I took another look, because a bunch of you recommended it on my Facebook page, at Tom Clancy's The Division. And you know what? It's actually not bad now. My big problem with The Division was the end game. I mean, I loved leveling up in The Division, all the way up to level 30. Playing the story campaign through. It was a good story. Building up your base of operations, you know, it kept me hooked. I mean, it might not be everybody's cup of tea, but I kind of love grindy games. That's probably why I'm such a big fan of World of Tanks, World of Warships, and World of Warcraft. And The Division ticked all those buttons for me. I didn't really mind so much that, I mean, it looked like a first-person shooter, but it wasn't really a first-person shooter. And I appreciate that upset a lot of people, particularly because it had the Tom Clancy name associated with it, and you expect tactical first-person shooters when something's got the Tom Clancy name on it. And The Division is not a tactical first-person shooter. It just looks like one. It was very much an MMO in the vein of World of Warcraft, and so that kind of upset a lot of people. It didn't really bother me that much, however. But when you hit the level cap in The Division, oh my god, there was just nothing to do. Well, that's not fair. There was lots to do when you hit the level cap, but there were two problems with everything that you did in The Division once you hit the level cap. The first problem was repetition. You'd done it all before. All it did was up the difficulty on all of the stuff that you'd already done while levelling up to level 30. Now, you might be arguing at this point, well, hang on a minute, Jingles, that's exactly what the world quests are in World of Warcraft in the latest expansion, and you say you love those. Well, yeah, but there's a big difference. You can do these world quests in minutes, and the rewards are fantastic. In The Division, doing a daily quest on hard would take 20 minutes to half an hour, and the rewards were shit. And if you were going to do them on challenging, there was no guarantee you were ever actually going to get it done, because it was bloody hard, and the rewards weren't that much better. Again, effort to reward ratio. World of Warcraft gets it right. The Division got it hopelessly, hopelessly wrong. The Division had this system called Phoenix Credits, and doing your dailies at maximum level awarded you with Phoenix Credits. Okay, so doing a mission on hard would give you, I don't know, 10 or 15 Phoenix Credits. Doing it on challenging would give you 20, maybe 25. I can't remember the exact numbers, but it wasn't a lot. How many Phoenix Credits did you need to get something at the special rewards vendor? A couple of hundred? So, a daily quest in The Division would take you half an hour to do, and you would have to do 10 of them in order to get one gear upgrade. It was, no, try again. It just didn't work. It was horrible. Alright, so what else can you do at the level cap? Well, there's PvP in the Dark Zone. And I have to give The Division some credit here. They did have some very, very interesting mechanics, particularly with regards to loot extraction, which I'm not going to go into here because I've talked about it before, but they had some very good ideas. And so Dark Zone PvP was an entirely viable means of progressing once you hit the level cap. Until you ran into somebody who had better gear than you. Yes. The Division's PvP was one of those. It didn't matter how good you were. It didn't matter how skilled you were. It didn't matter how many 360 no-scopes you could pull off. If you ran into somebody who had better gear than you, you were going to die. Simple as that. So, yeah, that pretty much sucked as well. Of course, all of this was basically just biding time until they released the first expansion for The Division, when they introduced raid content, the incursions, and to give them some credit, it didn't take them too long after the game release for the incursion, the first incursion, to be introduced into the game. Oh my god, it sucked. I mean, oh, it was so bad. Again, drawing parallels here with World of Warcraft. Does anybody remember, any of you who play World of Warcraft, remember the Trial of the Crusader? It was a raid instance in World of Warcraft in the Wrath of the Lich King expansion. The reason they put the Trial of the Crusader in was because people had been complaining that there was too much trash in the other raid dungeons. And for those of you who don't play MMOs, trash are all the things that you have to kill before you get to the next boss. So Blizzard said, alright, we're introducing a raid dungeon where there's no trash. It's just boss, 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 done. And it was probably the least popular raid dungeon that Blizzard have ever introduced in World of Warcraft. There's a lesson to be learned here. Turns out you do actually need some kind of pacing between boss fights. Be careful what you wish for, because you might get it. It's kind of like when War Thunder came out. Promised much more realistic, simulator-style tank battles. And all the World of Tanks fans said, yes, at last. And then they went and played it and realised that they didn't actually like getting one-shotted. A lot of people did. But again, you know, be careful what you wish for, you might get it. It turns out people did actually enjoy surviving taking more than one hit. And so War Thunder was not the World of Tanks killer that everybody said it was going to be. I mean, War Thunder's doing all right, but, you know, it's not World of Tanks. It's very, very different. So, what's this got to do with the Division? Well, remember the first incursion I tried? I hadn't been playing the Division for a while. The expansion came out. Yeah, there's an incursion. Brilliant, I'll try it. Jumped in. My gear wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible. Joined a group, jumped into an incursion, and oh my god. All I can remember, it was a while back, all I can remember is that we were in one room, and there were just waves and waves and waves of elites that just kept coming, and you basically just had to survive the onslaught. Holy shit, it was tedious. I mean, is this what we waited for? This is the sum total of the imagination that you've put into this expansion. So, yeah, I pretty much gave up on the Division at that point and hadn't played it since. And this must have been, oh, I don't know, 6 months ago? Well, anyway, a bunch of you recommended on Facebook, Jingles, check out the latest patch for the Division. It's completely revamped the game. So, this weekend, I had a go. And, you know, it's not bad. I've actually enjoyed it. For a start, while it's still not a first-person shooter, it's definitely an MMO, it does feel a lot more like a first-person shooter. You don't really, unless you're playing on Tier 4 difficulty, and we'll come across that in a moment, but you don't really come across those kind of situations, which were all too common in the old Division, where you're sitting there with your light machine gun, pumping hundreds of rounds of 7.62mm ammunition into the head of a bad guy before he goes down. Now, you can still get that if you're playing on Tier 4 World difficulty, but at Tier 1, 2, and most of the time on Tier 3, that just doesn't really happen. If you're pumping bullets into somebody's head, they lose health and armor very, very quickly. And so they've made it feel, in that respect, a bit more like a first-person shooter, just by making things easier to kill. They've also, I was talking about World Tier Difficulty, introduced a new system called World Tier Difficulty. When I logged in, after having not played the Division for many, many months, I was playing on World Tier Difficulty 1. There are 4 different tiers. You unlock the different tiers by improving your gear. Now, remember earlier I was talking about how long it used to take in the Division to improve your gear? You would do an incursion, sorry, not an incursion, a daily mission, which was just a rehash of something that you'd already done while playing through the story campaign. It would take you half an hour, and you would earn 10% of whatever it was you needed in order to get the next gear upgrade. I mean, it just took forever. Well, when I logged into the Division on Sunday, yesterday, for the first time in months, my gear was so bad that I only had Tier 1 difficulty unlocked. Within 2 hours, I'd unlocked Tier 4. I'd improved my gear to such an extent that I was able to start playing on the hardest difficulty setting. That took 2 hours. Prior to this patch, it would have taken months. Well, it wouldn't have taken months. I would never have had the patience to do it. I would have given up after a day. I said, no, sorry. effort to reward ratio is completely out of whack. I give up. I'm going to go and play World of Warcraft instead. I do feel that they've finally managed to get it right in this patch. They've nailed that balance between an MMO and a first-person shooter. You've got the sense of progression, which you can actually measure, because you've got that gear score indicator, and it just keeps going up. So you can measure how you're progressing in a tangible way, something that just took far too long prior to the introduction of this patch. You can tune the difficulty of the content that you're going to face, depending on, well, how good your gear is and how brave you're feeling. How much of a challenge you want out of your daily grind in the Division. It's, yeah, definitely thumbs up. I'm probably going to be spending quite some time playing the Division and just seeing how far I can take it. I was kind of concerned that, well, have we been here before? Because isn't this just another, grind? Instead of grinding up to the level cap of level 30, now you're just grinding through to the gear score cap of level 229, I think it is. What happens when all of your gear is level 229 and, there's no further gear score progression for you to enjoy? Or you're just going to hit another brick wall there with nothing else to do? Well, I have to admit that was a concern. But there's a difference between having level 229 gear, which pretty much anybody can get just by playing the game, and not by playing the game for that long if my rate of progression just in one day has been anything to go by. But there's a world of difference between having just level 229 gear in every slot and having optimised and well tuned and carefully chosen level 229 gear in each slot, that actually complements the skills that you've chosen and the way that you like to play. It's like, again, to use a World of Warcraft comparison, it's like running into a dungeon as a healer, but you're wearing your tanking gear. I mean, yeah, sure, you've got healing spells, but they're not very good because you're not wearing healing gear. It's kind of like that. So there's all kinds of fine-tuning that you can still do even when your gear has reached the level cap in the Division, and, I like that. You may not, your mileage may vary, but I'm probably going to be spending a lot of time playing the Division over the next couple of weeks, possibly months. Because I did like the Division when it came out, and I was very, very unhappy with it because it just wasn't nearly as good as I felt it should have been. Thankfully, they've addressed a lot of the concerns that I had with the game in this latest patch. In fact, I've been going on and on about the Division so much at home today that Rita's even been convinced to download, install it and play with me, so yeah, that's going to be fun. We do like to play games together. She has played the Division before. She owns the game, but she never bothered reinstalling it on a new PC because she got bored with it even before I did. We do like to play stuff together. Trying to get her into World of Warcraft, but nah. She's not having it. She has a character. Convinced her to start again when the Legion expansion came out. The expansion's been out, 2 months? She's gained 2 levels. I've got 5 characters at the level cap. A whole bunch of other characters at level 105. And Rita's still stuck at level 102 on one character. All she does in World of Warcraft, she plays it like Pokemon. She just plays pet battles, that's it. She just rides around the various different zones in World of Warcraft, taming pets and playing pet battles. I don't know, whatever floats your boat. She's not much of a fan of World of Warcraft, but she's actually quite liking the Division, so yeah. The Division, it's not bad. Took them long enough. Well, anyway, I think that's about it for this week's episode of Mingles with Jingles. I'm sure there's something else I was supposed to talk about, but I never remember to write this stuff down in advance, and I pretty much just wing it as I go along. I have enjoyed doing this week's episode, though. It's been a couple of weeks since you had a proper episode of Mingles with Jingles, and I've really enjoyed just, rambling on at random about various different things. It's kind of what I do. So, yeah, it's been fun. Well, it's been fun for me. Whether or not you got enjoy it is an entirely different matter. Nothing I can do about that. But hopefully you've enjoyed this week's episode of Mingles with Jingles, at least half as much as I've enjoyed recording it. That's it for today, folks. Hope you enjoyed it. If not, well, there's always next week. Throw enough shit at the wall, some of it's gonna stick. Take care, folks, and I'll catch you next time.